Hi, everyone. Welcome to this enlightening tech talk, how to leverage Spirion custom reporting for your needs. I'm your host, Tony Napolillo from Spirion, and joining me today is Spirion resident technical expert, Jason Price. Hello, Jason.
Hello, everyone.
We've been getting a lot of questions lately from those exploring effective data security posture management about reporting. And I think everyone understands that accurate data discovery is essential to properly protect your organization's most important assets. However, that can result in something that makes it equally difficult to protect your sensitive data, an avalanche of information to sift through. To properly solve for this very real problem, you need the ability to create custom reports. So for the next 15 minutes or so, Jason will give an overview of the situation and lead you through a demo of the custom reporting engine built into our hybrid first sensitive data platform, SDP. If you're already a Spirion customer using Sensitive Data Manager or another legacy product, this Tech Talk will help you understand the benefits of migrating to SDP. Or if you're on SDP already, it'll be a great refresher course. And if you're completely new to Spirion, think of this as your first step to understanding how we can help you protect what matters most, your sensitive data. We'll also leave time at the end for you to ask us questions. So you could submit those anytime using the Q&A button at the top. And now we're ready to start your journey through Spirion custom reporting. Take it away, Jason.
All right, excellent. So just a quick agenda. The conversation is really going to start about the care of information. So presenting the information to you in a method that is both secure, but still gives us the ability to understand exactly what we're looking at without exposing any of the actual sensitive information. We'll cover some of the architecture that permits us to do that. We'll go into the custom reporting engine details a little bit more. Then I'll jump into the product and show you exactly how all of that works. So starting first, the whole point of this is to make sure that we've got the correct sort of information out there for you to interact with without exposing any of the actual sensitive content. So first and foremost, the data must remain secure. Secondly, we want to make sure that we're handling the performance hit on this. So there's a lot of information that needs to be sorted through. Custom reporting gives us the ability to take on that workload. So we're doing the processing for the reporting, and the only information that's coming out is pre-formatted in whatever sort of an order you want to see that in. So taking that performance hit is also something that we want to make sure that we do. Third, making sure that we've got the ability to provide different types of information in different formats. Not everybody needs to see the same information. Not everybody needs access to everybody else's information. So custom views, different audiences, absolutely want to make sure we cover that. And lastly, to provide a level of externalization. So the reports that we're looking at can be obviously accessed within the console, but we've also got the ability to export those reports as CSV files so they can be ingested into other softwares out there. There's a long list of them, but I'll go over what we can do with just the basic information in Power BI to give you an idea of how all of that needs to work together. So first and foremost, we talk about making sure the data remains secure. So you can see we have an entirely separate instance of a database where the reporting information is stored. So no time is the actual full content database exposed. Everything is in its own separate SQL instance that is going to be only processing the non-sensitive information. So any callback, any export is going to be coming directly from that data warehouse. So it's pretty important to, we make sure to keep that separation, and also that we keep that warehouse up to date with, as recent of content as we can from the primary database. So handling this all internally also make sure that we cover a lot of that performance hit for processing the reports. So it's a pretty straightforward situation. I just like showing the full architecture slide to give you the idea of where exactly that information comes from. The custom reporting engine itself, gives us the ability to filter, to customize the output of information, look at the content in whatever sort of aggregation, the type of content that is most important needs to be listed first, giving the ability to customize column headers, giving the ability to take and put all that information into a very easily digestible form, whether that's consumed internally or put out into a CSV, or in the near future, we have a REST API that is going to be available so you can make calls into that data warehouse to extract information directly into a third-party source should you want to. So all that being said, the best way to do this is just to get started directly. So we're going to jump into the console. When we look at Spyglass, this is all of that static information, the static reporting that we're able to provide. But what we're going to do is we're going to come over into custom reports, and we're going to create a new report. So giving this a name, we can call it whatever we want to. So in this case, we're going to look at match count by agent. So taking the information from each individual agent. So we're going to expand endpoints. We're going to incorporate the agent name. We're going to expand matches. We're also going to take the match count. So the match count by default will show us a per location distribution. So we're going to want to edit this to show an aggregate sum and sorted descending. So we're putting the highest matches first, and we're using the total matches based on the agent name. Pretty straightforward. If we wanted to change the agent name, we can say target system name, however we want to put this in. Once we've selected the two pieces, we then got the ability to start that initial filtering. So the more information that's put into the first step, the more options that we're going to have here. So if we wanted to look at only agents that contain, system, or if we've got a naming convention, we're able to do that. Match count. So if we're building a report that focuses on more strategically necessary pieces of content that need to be addressed, we might say for only show us machines with more than 5,000 matches on them. So it's pretty straightforward process to create the filters. Scheduling is another big thing as well. So obviously we can do this ad hoc. You can come in whenever you want to, look at the report, have that information presented to you, but we could also schedule the export of that information on a certain recurrence. So if this is something that you want to have ready every Monday, we can do that. So we're going to set a recurrence now for every week, every Monday, starting on the 27th at 8 a.m. Now we can take a quick preview of the information before we actually generate the report. We can get a subset to make sure it looks the way that we want it to. But I'm just going to go ahead and hit finish and save. The report was created successfully. So now we can come down here, match count by agent, view that report. And now we're seeing only the top targets here first, the target system name, and then the total aggregated match count. That can, like I said, be viewed here. We can put restrictions on this report to see who's going to be able to see it. We also have the ability to generate this report, which will take it, create that CSV file that can be downloaded, extracted, taken to somewhere else, and further processed as necessary. That file, when it's generated, will show up in report downloads. You can see we've got match count by agent has been generated. And then this is just going to download that CSV as a compressed document for bandwidth conservation. So taking all of the individual pieces of information that we're able to collect here, the way that the views can be assembled can give a couple different multitudes of output, and that information can be then further combined in an external source. So what I've done is I've taken a couple quick outputs of information and I've thrown them into Power BI to give me a little bit more of a visual sort of interactive dashboard that can be viewed either locally on an end user's desktop, or of course, with Power BI, these can be published into the cloud and become an interactable dashboard for somebody remotely as they need it. But the top here are the machine names. The size of the box is the number of locations that contain sensitive information. And the color that we're looking at is a weighted average of matches per location. So the bigger the box, the redder the box means there's more information there and it's more concentrated in the individual files. As I highlight these, everything down below changes to show me the layout of the information. I can just as easily take the data types. So if I want to only look at credit card numbers, now you see the infill for these is showing me where the concentration credit card numbers is. Additionally, coming down and clicking on an individual file, I can see that this user MDV file is across 5 separate machines. And here's the information that it contains. So this is basic export of information with a little bit of creativity, a little bit of imagination. You can turn this into whatever sort of a dashboard that you need for your specific application. Taking this a step even farther, Power BI also has the ability to run data analytics. So I can look at any sort of information that I need to here, say, find a credit card number, and I can look at where, from a statistical point of view, is more likely for this information to exist. So this machine Pleasant is 10 times more likely to contain credit card information. So from a risk standpoint, we might want to look further into why exactly this machine seems to be the hub for credit card number activity. So, and this is all simple stuff, right? If you've got a BI team or, you know, a little bit of Power BI experience, this can also be taken into Excel and done through a Power Pivot. It's just a little bit prettier to do it through Power BI, but it's an example of the type of data that we're providing being turned into something greater than the sum of its individual parts. So while our internal dashboards are fantastic, they give you lots of information, the custom reporting gives us that additional flexibility to take all of this information into wherever we want to see it or wherever we need to see it, for either external consumption or internal consumption, while still ensuring that none of the actual sensitive information has been exposed. So it's a great way to expand on what Spirion is able to do, not only from an automation remediation standpoint, but also from a standpoint of creating sort of a data analytics engine, right? A data asset inventory with a full exposure of information that can be used to, you know, plan for future security needs, plan for future deployments of software, or even plan for things like, you know, if you're doing an on-premise to a cloud migration, being able to take the information, sort through it, and decide what needs to go to the cloud and what needs to stay locally. You can use this to plan expenditures for sizing of storage devices or sizing of databases, just looking at the amount of content that's created and discovered during these individual scans. So with that, I really have covered most of what I'd like to cover. What I'd really like to do now is to see if there's any questions, answer any specific things that you want to see, you know, because ultimately I can show you what I've done so well, and it only does so much, but giving you the ability to ask questions is really what we're here for. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Tony, and if he's got any questions in there, I'm happy to accept those now.
Thank you, Jason. Again, if you have any other questions, get them in now. We got a couple here. Great info. Already an SDP customer and would like more documentation on what was just covered. That's wonderful. We recommend you reach out to your CSM, but we will also have them reach out to you, where there is a lot of documentation on this to help you out. Second one, Jason, I'm going to have you cover this. You mentioned an API. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, so it's a full RESTful API. Gives us the ability to call these individual reports directly. So instead of coming in, going to report downloads, clicking the button, having everything generated, you can make a call in directly to the RESTful API to pull this information out, but there's also a structure of a configuration structure that you can use to call report information or report requests directly into that warehouse. So you don't necessarily have to use the zip or the CSV file. You can query that information directly.
All right. Well, that's all our questions. That was your demonstration. Great information. Hope everybody got a lot out of it. Really action-packed 15 minutes. That's our time. Thank you everyone who joined us live and for these questions. This Tech Talk's been recorded. It'll be sent to everybody on this call, so you can review it again or send it to your organization. And if you have any further questions, please explore Spirion.com or reach out to your Spirion CSM. Goodbye, everybody.